How's it going, everyone? It's your boy James, and it's another episode of Grendel's Garage. We're gonna go ahead and get straight at it. If you are watching this, you've actually, hopefully, seen me ripping on this bike, having a good time doing my thing. This is a pre-video, basically. Not sure when this will air, but I wanted to take a step back because I don't think I've ever done any kind of brake video or anything like that as far, I guess, just in general. So just wanted to go over what I do, some of the tools that you'll need or what I use, just the basic stuff. We'll be assembling a clutch lever cable, so it's all pretty universal. Maybe we'll go over some of the different studs, what I've noticed with some different brake styles and stuff like that, since we'll talk about the cables themselves. So stay tuned. Don't know how long it'll be, don't know how short it'll be, but we'll have fun. Here we go. Alrighty, everyone, we are back, and we're going to talk about some of the tools that we are going to use and need or suggest. The first thing you're going to need is a cup of joe. Wet the old whistle. But in all honesty, I recommend getting some Sharpies. Obviously, if you're a clutch cable, you need a clutch cable. You can get basically these in packs. Don't look for a clutch cable, just look for a brake cable, because that's really what they are. You can get them in different colors. As you can see, I got my brake ones in red. I ran out of red, so here we are. That's just fine. You'll need your your cable cutter. You can use that to cut that. You can also use that to actually cut the cable. So this is a game changer. I've tried to use something like this in the past. This does not work well because it completely smashes and they're just not sharp enough, or this is super dull and old. I've had it since in high school, so that's going on quite a long time. Anyways, so get one of these. Super cheap. We'll go over some different techniques because this is super cheap too. It doesn't cut super great, but definitely needed. Get like a punch or something like that, a little pick. You're going to use that to clear the cable itself, so that way this part of the cable actually goes through nice and easy. I need to figure out the names of those. Anyways, if you buy a little kit, they typically come with some stuff like this. These go at the end. Let's get rid of that thing, that gets confusing. So this one right here, the plastic one, is the exact same thing as this. It's a cable stop. You put it at the end of your cable, so when it goes into your brake lever, it doesn't break up the actual cable itself. It holds it together nicely and doesn't hurt. I'm running some plastic ones going around this time just to see how they hold up, and it's what I had. I was running out of other ones. These are just some cable holders, two cables together. You can snap them together. I don't know about those. Anyways, this is just like a little cable tensioner. You just put that at the end of the cable. I'm gonna use that on the clutch. Really like these. It just adds another layer of stability, so that way when that clutch lever is getting pulled, it doesn't pull out your wire. The other system on here, that little guy right sneaking through there, hopefully you can see it, but that little guy's a pain in the booty and it'll ruin your cables faster. So I use both of them. Tighten that one a little bit and then tighten that guy a lot of bit, and this won't tear up your cable. Last thing I definitely recommend are the cable stops. Once you cut your cable like that, you put those at the end, and then your cable will not fray. Super recommend those. Oh, what else? You're gonna need some grease. I like to grease up the cable line. Oh, let's call this a cable line. You gotta grease up the cable line when you put it into here. You don't have to. I haven't really ever done in the past, and I've never had issues, but I'm gonna start doing it, and I'm just gonna run that through as I pass it through the brake cable. Run the line through the grease as I put into the the cable. Last thing, clutch spring. This is just to basically prevent you getting heat onto your brake cable or your clutch cable, either of the sorts. So that is pretty much needed so you don't burn up this bad Larry in the future. Alrighty, guys, We'll either do a fast forward or anything like that and all that jazz. Oh, did I forget markers? Don't forget markers. You need markers. Depending on what color your cable is, you need black or red or whatever color. So obviously we're going to use the red. Alrighty guys, here we go. Stay tuned. We are back and we're going to be crack-a-lacking at it. What else? Remember guys, your first tool is coffee. Make sure you have it on you. Not a ton to say to start off with. I thought about just doing like a fast forward video, but I think it'd be kind of fun to try to talk through it a little bit more and the things I need to do in the future just to kind of get up to snuff. But really back it up. I really need to put together a backpack so that way all my tools are one tool set into one area, so that way I'm nice and safe to go. But anyways, looking how I do it, so I went ahead and stuck that into our lever, and I put just a little bit of Gorilla Tape on there, and that's about where we want it to be. You don't want to, I like to kind of like back it out just a little bit so you have a little bit of play. You have those adjustments just like you do on your brakes. It's basically, this is all this is a brake lever, but it just has a stop in there, which is super ideal. I love this style of clutch. The cheap Chinese ones that you get with all your kits nowadays, you do have to manipulate them, but still these ones I think pull back a little bit further, so you get more actuation, and then you can push that in, and it's just, I don't know, I like them. Anyways, a little bit of space so that way you can play with a little bit the tape, so that way I know where my slack is going. Follow the black cable, and I made sure this cable is super long enough. You're basically, this will be interesting. You guys are gonna be coming along with me and moving around. You're gonna be moving. Don't want to pull on it too tight, but where do we want this to go? So we want to avoid the exhaust at all costs, but we might have to sneak down there a little bit. And we have to think about where this is going to be. I don't want to cross it, so let's go under that. Also, turn your handlebars the direction that they're going to be at the most turned away, so that way you have exactly enough slack overall. You don't want to turn your handlebars the opposite direction to where you have the least amount of slack, because then you go to take a turn and then you're going to dive in and you're going to pull something. And I've never done that, but I've come close. I've cut cables thinking that, and then being, oh, I need to back up and fix that. So I think our sweet spot's going to be coming down here. And what you can do is, if you want to, you can use your zip ties. Always have zip ties. I'm actually running out. And you can mount the cable there. Because if you want to mock it up fully, that's totally great. It's a great idea to mock everything up fully. Get you guys nice and close. Sometimes when I zoom in, the quality drops pretty dramatically, so I want to make sure I have enough slack. Let's say this, so enough slack up there, extra to play, not too much. Follow down, because now I know this is going to be zip tied here. Right, so there, keep it pinched. Get your Sharpie in your mouth. Make sure the coffee is out of the way of the debris zone, because that is always tragic when you get some good old grease. Nothing that's gonna kill you. It'll only make you stronger, but still. So once we're out of the heat zone, because we'll probably have the zip ties that Tuesday on that thing. I'm not above using 100,000 zip ties. Sometimes I zip tie stuff and I forget where it was at and I cut it. Okay. So let's see if I can get you guys in there. All right. We got to go ahead and get our cut, or our mark, excuse me, right where that's going to meet up there. It's going to look kind of funky like this, I think, just to stay safe. We actually might push it through a little bit more and get a better angle. Alright, I gotta let go of that. Do the process again so you guys can see. Alright, so a little bit of slack up there, not too much. You don't want too much slack too, or else it gets kind of a pain and you'll create little pinches in the wire where you don't want it. You kind of almost want like a smooth transition. A lot of people give me grief and say my cables look like trash, and you're not totally wrong. What I've come to realize though is that as long as your cables aren't catching on stuff, the less tightening, the less zip ties, the less pinching you do, the better your cables are overall. The more loop-de-doos they do, I mean, actually, a straight line is ideal. That's what you want, is a straight line, right? Sorry, I'm taking my time. I'm trying to talk. You want a straight line, is perfect. But we don't work in a world of straight lines. That's inefficient, especially for these things. We work in a world. Oh, let's get that angle. Let's see. I want to be straight on. We work in a world. I don't know. Let's get out that. With turns and loops and stuff like that. So we need to account for that. All right, so we have our mark. Even the red doesn't show up great. Don't lose that mark. That's super important. Let's actually try to get you guys into the light a little bit. You can honestly leave that cable in there the entire time too. Always have the bucket with me just in case, because you never know when you're gonna need the bucket. Oh, this is a bad position because the coffee is so far away. Where's our mark? Right there. If you guys hear jingling in the back, I didn't add lullaby music. That's my boy's passed out right now, so always on a little bit of a time crunch. Anyways, let's go ahead and back to the project at hand. We have our mark. We have our mighty cable cutter. I don't know if this cable cutter in general just sucks or what, but it works. It definitely cuts through, or it's just, there's probably better quality ones or a better way to cut, but it works. I made my red mark and I made a pretty thick one so I could see it. I'm actually going to cut a little bit even back from there. We'll have even probably a little bit. I always end up with a little extra slack than I need, but I'd rather make those fine-tune adjustments later or something like that. So just go ahead and make a clean cut as fast as I can. Oh, this one doesn't have a plastic tube, it doesn't look like. So there's a steel cable in there, but there doesn't seem to be a plastic tube. Sometimes this one might not be like the best quality. Oh yeah, look, I took the top off. So this is just a plastic tube. I wonder if I should get a different one. I'm really running out of cable. This is like the longest one I have. Ah, you gotta run it. Or is that steel? Oh no, that's steel. I knew this was gonna happen. I was gonna talk smack. Okay, so it's like this one's a steel tube around it. A lot of the times they're braided. They're not braided, they're like steel kind of like cable like wrapped, and then you got to get through there, or like plastic in there too, and you got to like use your punch to get out. Anyways, what you would have to do sometimes if that was the case, if there was a steel cable in there, which this is a tube so it cuts super well, you'd make your cut, and then what I would do is I'd make like another almost like pinch, and I'd pull it apart a little bit, back up, and make another cut. What did I do with that? Keep that guy together. These things are like gold, man. Don't want to lose these. You also want to get it on there. I'm going to bang it on the concrete behind you guys. You want to get it on there, because if you don't get it on there all the way, it'll shift as you pull tension. So get that onto your plastic really well. What else? Okay, so typically you got to do what I just said, cut it like that, but that makes it easy. Oh, I just put that on the wrong one. I could actually use this right here and put on this one. There we go. Get that on there. See, there you go. I'm filming and I'm not paying attention. I'm literally using the spare, is putting that on there, if you weren't paying attention. All right, so there's the cut. Pretty easy. I went ahead and put that on there. We already have one on that side, so we'll use metal since we're dealing with a little bit of heat, and I have the opportunity because I'm only down to plastic ones, so we'll use the metal there. The next thing I like to do is to have one of these guys handy too, so once we figure out how that's going to be, have one of these little knobbies. You'll see why. It's going to help save the clutch cable, wire, whatever we said earlier. Now I already forgot. Anyways, what's next? So, you gotta obviously let me do this. This is literally my longest one too of this. All right, we know the length, we know everything is perfectly to go. So we're actually gonna go ahead and remove this cable that we just cut. All right, back you guys up. Coffee break. All right, we are recording. I wasn't sure. So we got our grease. This is obviously super overkill, but rather overkill than underkill when it comes to grease. I would imagine the biggest thing about greasing these up, they are, I think they're stainless steel, but maybe they're not, the cables. Whatever these are called. I wish I remembered what I was saying earlier, that made sense. But maybe the grease prevents it from rusting. A lot of guys, there's probably like specific grease, like if you're in the world of racing or something like that, I imagine there's specific grease, but I'm really trying to use up this red grease on everything because I think there's better greases out there that I could be using, and I am not going to waste anything I bought, so make sure this is the right cable, right? Jeez. So this cable is going to make it super easy. If yours has like a plastic, well, that's probably a frick ton of grease. I like to pinch it a little bit more. I guess start with a lot of grease, right? That's what I meant to do. Start with a lot of grease and then insert. Now I'm pinching it, trying to get grease on there, but not like a super crazy amount. Oh, I'm botting them out on the other side. Don't worry about cleaning your cable on the other end. We'll go ahead and manage that later on. You want to go all the way to the end. Ooh, you did not want to do that. Wouldn't hurt, but wipe that down, I guess. Now, if you're gonna do it multiple times, if you're doing like multiple process at a time, you could obviously do this and then open this back up, get it ready for the next one, which is what I did last night. But now we're greased up. Keep this side clean. Follow me. Alrighty. Go ahead and get up in here. These ones are super easy. It's just, these ones are so easy. Get up in there. I'm gonna go ahead and keep that like that. How do we have that? We had this one. Going behind that one. Oh, I looped you guys. Should have been a cowboy. No, I'm joking. Alright. Again, nothing changes there. This might fall down, but I think it'll stay. Where did that tape go, actually? Oh, it's gone to the 7 wins. Would have been smart to keep it there. So, there. We know that we want that to also go behind that. We're going to get back to here. We're going to thread it all together. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and throw the spring on. Again, this is for the heat. We don't like the heat. Heat is always the enemy. So we got to regulate the heat. That is always what's super tough about 2 strokes because the heat's always changing. Or at least with our 2 strokes, you know. They do probably make, I know they make fuel or cooled 2 strokes. All right, making sure I have everything. All right, so this part's also important. I like this guy right there. This will help protect our cable. You'll see later on why. Make sure the spring is just up and out of the way because we're just going to thread it on later. All right. Get that on there. Let's see if you guys can see a little bit better. Don't worry about your extra cable. Take your handy dandy scraper and give it a wipe. There's plenty of grease to be had by all. You're just gonna push that on. Oh, we're already goofing up, guys, see? There we go, okay. That's better. Don't have to worry about how it's gonna go. We already did our measurements. We know exactly how it's gonna go. Plus you want loosey-goosey. When you're doing a big project, take the opportunity. I wasn't going to do all this But after necessity and after long-term thinking about how this pipe, and there's no other options for pipes, especially long-term future, be expected to see this motor on the Banshee Queen for a long time, especially with the brakes in the front. If those end up being, well, that's kind of a pain. That's a little bit more. How to get that on there? Oh, that's why. Oh, where's that punch? Oh, that might not be good. Okay, once that cooperates, let's go the other way. Oh no, it's already on there. You don't want to do that. Sorry. This is the stuff you guys don't see edited. And there we go. You should, yep, screw it on there, and then that is nice. Screw it on there as tight as you can. Oh, don't have to go in there though. Jeez, okay. That's pretty on there. Alrighty. There you go. Got plenty of play up above. We'll figure that all out with our other cables. We still have a lot to figure out, especially with this throttle cable. It is stretched to the limit. But there you go on that side. I'm gonna go ahead and take a short little break, and we'll go ahead and finish this part up. Got to work on my enunciation, especially for these long videos. So pretty basic though, not too bad. It just takes a couple tools and a little bit of know-how. So that's what the goal is for these videos, guys. Alrighty, everyone, we are back, and as always, battling the lighting situation. Make sure everything is aligned, where it goes right into that little, what do you guys call that? I don't know what that guy is called. Where your clutch cable goes into, that guy that stands perpendicular. I don't know, let me know. Anyways, make sure it's all aligned, so that way you don't have any surprises later on, like it slips, then you're wondering why your cable's not engaging all the way. So I really like that little piece right there that I talked about. It really just kind of guides it all in. Make sure everything's nice and snug, doesn't allow any flexing of that cable. It guides it straight in. Like I said, it'll save your cable long term. So anyways, I digress. Let's get you all situated for the next fun part. This is the part where you need to grow like 3 hams. You'll need a screwdriver. I really, again, recommend one of these guys, the cable stop, the wire stop, and then your wire pinch for the end. Also, you want to make sure that you have needle nose or something to crimp, and your wire cutters, cable cutters. Go ahead and start by threading all your excess off into that bad Larry. Let me guys know what you think. Build Break Fix recommends running a return spring, so that way you have a little bit of tension. And there might be some truth to that, because and it could be also just me overthinking stuff, but basically with that tension spring, it keeps just a little bit of pressure from your whole lever right here, your clutch lever, and it keeps just a little bit of pressure on there, so that way it's not engaging or anything like that as you're going and driving when you're in neutral. So that's kind of interesting to me, because on the Wildcat 80, the bucking bar, not the bar itself, but that inner part where the bar goes into, really opened up and a lot of wear and tear, and I just wonder if that might be part of that. Anyways, I digress. Let me guys know what you think. Just the things I think about, especially when I'm in here tinkering and having fun, and like I said, trying to be a little bit more interactive. Let you guys know where my brain is at when I'm doing stuff. Go ahead and get your wire stop nice and tight. What's my thought process? In the past, I've just reamed on this super hard. I think what I want to do, and not like lately, what I've been doing is just getting it tight. What you can do is get like a pair of clamps. What do I got here? What do I not have any clamps? You can get a pair of clamps. There we go. I got a small pair of clamps. And you can pinch it on there, but you can really screw up your wire there. So I don't worry about this one as much, so I just kind of like let that stand by in my hand so I can feed it up. But I do want to get this fairly tight. And the beauty about that other lever, though, the upgraded lever, in my opinion, is you can really get a lot of good actuation with it. So that is nice and tight. And then I'm going to go ahead and really get this guy tight. Make sure you put this to where you can get to it. So later on, it's not an issue. It probably will move and jingle jangle later on, but all right, this is the part where your righty tighty, lefty loosey really matter. This is, in my opinion, this one does a lot less damage. You can really get that sucker on there. Then you don't have to rely on this one as much because these tend to strip quite a bit. So that one is pretty tight, pretty good. Let's go ahead and see. Okay, tilt it forward. Go ahead and take the backpack off in the back. Don't worry, that thing has seen some days. Actuation, all right. Good. Looks like the clutch is working. Oh yeah. But a smooth. Actually, it's probably not very smooth. I just cleaned the crud out of this chain. You guys won't believe me. I don't clean it like too well. I just take like a towel and a big fluffy towel and just ream it through like 6 or 7 times, and then I lube it back up. That's as far as I go as far as changing or cleaning the chain. Let me guys know how you clean your chains. Alrighty, so on this one I don't actually I don't leave as much. It's a little bit of a waste, but because I just don't always know where to go with it, you can probably tuck it back in. Just because I don't like end up pulling up too, or I don't end up pulling on it too much. So maybe I will leave a little bit and thread some back. If I were to do that, just for the sake of argument, what would you need, like, and why would you want to? Just for the sake of adjusting it, but I've never had issues with this one. Talking to myself, and I do know if you cut it too short, though, you are losing a piece of your soul when that jabs your leg. So maybe we will tuck it. If we were to tuck it, well, how much do we need? About right there. About where? About there, and then add a little extra. A lot of extra in this case. All right. Probably didn't give it enough bones for it to catch on anything. All right. We're just going to go with the old leg sticker. That's totally going to flop out with one bump. Isn't too bad when... It's not too bad when you have the difference maker of the day, I'm telling you guys. I've also seen, I think it was, I forget what's his name. But he solders the end, which is also genius. I'm just a little too lazy to pull on my solder gun. Maybe in a different video one day. These will fall off, though, by the way. These will fall off. I mean, you can crimp it literally to hell. But I just go about like that because I try to reuse everything. Johnny from Johnny Motorized Bicycles, man, he reuses everything. I'm trying to get a little bit better about that, just not throwing away stuff, sitting on stuff, because I've noticed it's really just been coming in clutch. Anyways, you can bend these little turd back after you, because I could literally just really quick pull it off. But all right, we don't have a leg jabber, but we might have enough to, we have to adjust it later on. But again, test. Okay, one more time. I don't know about you guys, but I am just super notorious for over-tightening stuff. I said, don't tighten this because you can ruin the cable. I'm just not getting super tight, but if I can get just a little bit with a strong arm. Use my strong hand. Oh, I got a little bit. Okay. Nice and tight. I'm good to go. One more turn. Boom. There we go, guys. As you can tell, everything's a mess. Straight up, everything is just completely hold on by the minimum of zip ties and stuff like that. Because when I go to zip tie everything, one, I'm running out of zip ties, and then two, I don't always double up necessarily on the same spot, but what I want to do is strategically put stuff for each specific cable. I don't double up on cables like that with, say, your throttle, right? I don't double up on that because if I just need to screw with the throttle, you have to cut both and then it screws with it. I actually go and zip tie each one for each area and try not to make too many super tight turns because that's super hard on the cable. I try to keep it flowing in straight lines as absolute much as possible. So that's why you'll see up here a lot of my cables are super just kind of, oh, that looks funny, because I want it super flowing as much as possible. Then the super obviously tight stuff is going to be up in here. These frames really allow, to the most part, good zip tie areas and all that jazz. Sorry, I guess I'm using this one as an example, but that's on the other side, and this throttle cable is going to be interesting. I got it maxed out there and everything up there labeled out, so we'll have to zip tie that sucker pretty good. Anyways, guys, what else? That's about it. Hope you learned something. Hope I can learn something from you. And just a little quick video of how to do your cables. It runs exactly the same for your brake, guys. It's exactly the same for your brake cables. It's just different angles and measuring, but the measuring process is the same. We'll see how the grease does anything. Probably not, but just kind of a little bit of a maintenance stuff. And buy the kits, guys. Buy the kits. Those are crucial. Alrighty. Till next time.